I always worry slightly when people say, you know, this man needs no introduction, because in all my experience, in all my life, this is completely untrue. Because just about now, I see somebody in a gathering like this nudging their neighbour, and I know exactly what they're saying. They're saying, he doesn't sound anything like he does when he reads the news at 10. Or has occurred to me more recently. I've been saying this for about 20 years, and I have to tell you, you know, every time I get to a stage in public life where I think, oh, come on, he knows me, I go and I stand next to somebody in Starbucks, and I swear this happened to me 10 days ago. I stand next to somebody in the queue at Starbucks. I stand next to her for 10 minutes. She's looking at me, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, and I'm thinking, she knows. Chair of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Really? And then she says, I thought your programme last night was really good, Sir Trevor. No, not the Tonight programme. I wasn't on at all last night. That was the other guy. At least it wasn't as someone else said to me, asked me in Manchester, the woman who said, my friend and I want to know whether you're Trevor Phillips or whether you're Halifax ads on TV. So I just want to make it all clear. I'm not, you know, not news, not carpet. No, what does he do? Carpet. Insurance, not carpets. I'm here to talk about politics. Well, I always sort of said when I was in student politics I wouldn't do this because being vaguely left-wing at the time, I said that we wouldn't have old farts coming to lecture, and of course now I've become an old fart, and I come and do this. So I'm going to try and be as brisk as I can, because I know that people who are interested in politics tend to be rather interested in other people's politics, but rather more interested in their own politics and what they have to say. And I also am extremely interested in what you have to say. So I want to give us as much time as we can before we all have to go and, you know, see who's eating bush tucker, grubs or whatever it is, to raise some of your points. The title of tonight's conversation, Model T Politics, I'm going to come to in a second, but let me start by asking a question myself, a rhetorical question. What's the point of politics now? And I want to ask that question because I myself don't know. I know what I think the point of politics is, so I'll say it in a moment. But I myself don't know whether the political framework that we have today can cope with the job that we ask it to do any longer. What I mean by that is this. Nye Bevan once said that the language of socialism is language of priorities. And what he meant was anybody who's involved in real politics or in government knows that the real issue is not the rhetoric that surrounds politics. And Bevan was talking class war. He was saying we need to choose the working class above everybody else. The ruling class had chosen its interests for 100 years. It's time for us to choose ours. But whether or not he'd been taking this point from a left-wing point of view, the essential point about politics is a very simple one. Politics does for us what we cannot do as individuals and what we must do as a community or as a society, and what we sometimes as citizens don't particularly want to take responsibility for. It makes choices for us. When my dear friend Ken Livingstone got elected Mayor of London, there was a very simple point. There was a simple thing that he ran on, and he was right to run on this. What do we do about traffic? Now the important point about traffic is this, about traffic jams in London is this. Up until 2003, when the congestion charge came in, every morning about 300,000 Londoners got up and they made an individual choice. A completely legitimate, completely rational individual choice. Going to get in a car, going to drive down the road, go to work, park it, do my day's work, or as little of it as I can get away with. Get out, get in the car, go back home in the car. Perfectly legitimate choice. Legal, all the rest of it. And actually none of those 300,000, as far as one can make out, set out with the intention of bringing London's roads to a standstill. So you can't blame the individual driver. You can't say it's your fault. But actually, 300,000 people get out and make the same decision, legitimate decision, and what do we get? We get congestion, which cost us the best part of £10 billion a year in the City of London. We could have sat with that forever. But along comes Livingstone, politician par excellence, almost without peer actually, in British politics. And he says a very simple thing, which is the essence of politics. Got to make a choice. And the choice I'm going to make here is that I am going to make your individual choice a different choice. It isn't going to be, is the journey too long? Do I want to put up with the delays? Do I want to spend on petrol? You can make all those choices, but also, do you want to pay a quid on top of it? I change the nature of your choice by making my political decision. This is very important because we these days have 24/7 media which make politics into a soap opera, makes it into a personality business, makes it into a constant effort to find the latest textual difference between Blair and Brown, Cameron and, well, as I say Cameron and Northern Tebby, you don't need to look very far for the difference between those two, but the smallest differences. The point here is that at the end of the day, we have politics to help us make choices about how we distribute goods, positives, within our society. And in order to do that, politics has to do two things. First of all, it's got to give us an account. What is it that actually is going wrong? What's the issue here? And then the politician says, I want to go this way, I want to go that way. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. Churchill was right about Hitler, he was wrong about the Dardanelles. Margaret Thatcher was right about deregulation, wrong about the poll tax. Tony Blair, right about everything.